So the Bears game, we lost, and I know I've been saying that losses do good for us in the long run, but this one kind of stings for sure. Um, it's different because it wasn't a come from behind that we nearly did. We were up 24-10 going in late in the game, and we lost the lead. And so that's kind of why it stings a little bit. Justin Fields did have the pick six, but I would chalk that up to just him being still kind of young and he had pressure in his face, and he just has to learn to throw that away instead of trying to make a play. But I want to get your thoughts on the game. You watched it.
I'm kind of with you. It looked like the Bears were pretty much in control, kind of had a late game collapse. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the 24-10 lead was going into the fourth quarter, correct?
It was either the third or fourth quarter.
I mean, it was either the very end of the third quarter or maybe the beginning of the fourth quarter. You guys had that 24-10 lead. So here's the thing about Fields, because that's the main topic. Yeah, the Bears lost. This is ultimately what your season was going to be, so it's kind of going according to plan. Definitely can see why this one stings, though, in a season where you're thinking you need to win. I think Fields is accepting. I think the Bears really are accepting that Fields is not going to be a 4,000 yard, passer in a single season. So the Bears don't have their guy in that thing, but that's okay. Fields to me might be, and this call it a hot take or whatever, he might be one of the greatest scramblers the game has ever seen, and even in his second year. The guy can just run the freaking ball, and I know a lot of times when you say that about a quarterback, it's kind of a slight. It's kind of like he can't pass, he's a running back. Dude can scramble, man. I mean, that there's just no debating it, and I think the Bears have kind of said, look, this guy ain't a pocket passer. We are not going to win games with Fields being a pocket passer. We got to get him opportunities to where he can just scramble and run the field. And Jesus, man. I mean, what did he have? Like 140 yards rushing or something?
147 on the ground, 167 through the air.
You guys might not have a 4,000 yard passer at quarterback, but you might have a 1,000 yard rusher.
One thing that one of the announcers were saying during the Bears game was that there is no one better at running the ball at the quarterback position than Justin Fields outside of Lamar Jackson. And I'm thinking on that scramble that he had for like 1 yard where he ran 30 yards total, I'm thinking Lamar Jackson can't do that because Justin Fields bowled over somebody. He's 6'4", 220, 230 pounds. Lamar Jackson is not. I don't think Lamar would have made that play.
And that is a flex. I understand why that makes you happy, but as if I were you, those kind of plays would make me grimace. I love seeing my quarterback get in there and make a hit and stick in through the play and be able to kind of body somebody. But those kind of hits, man, you can only have so many of them before they start to kind of take their wear and tear.
And to counter on that, like he's gotten much better at avoiding hits. He doesn't take hits on, 3rd and 8 and he gets 15. He doesn't take a hit, he runs out of bounds. But on plays where he needs to get that touchdown or that first down, he'll, put his shoulder down and get through it. But if it's just, a 6-yard run, he's running out of bounds or he's sliding, which is much improved from weeks 1 to 4, where he was just taking unnecessary hits. So I want to kind of focus on the negatives of this game first. We got some negatives written down. One of them I already said, we lost the lead, which, like I said, stings a lot. We only completed 1 pass for 6 yards in the fourth quarter. And that may be because
the kind of team you guys are, though.
Yeah, and that may be because we had the lead for the majority of the fourth quarter, and so we're running the ball, which is our strength. So that makes sense. But when the game was tied or when we were down, I remember on the very last drive, I think we took 2 sacks or whatever, and it was really just Justin Fields scrambling and trying to find somebody downfield. And I haven't seen the all 22, but did you see that last play where he broke like 4 sacks? And I watched the lineman.
He just eventually caught up to him.
I watched the offensive linemen, and they're just standing around blocking nobody. And I'm like, he's back there. Go protect him.
Well, but after a certain point with the offensive line, it gets to a point where it's just like watching, like, I'm trying to think of how to say this. It's like watching somebody get hit by a car or like an animal get hit by a car, and you want to save it, but you know that it's probably too late, and you're just like, oh my God, you just watch. It's kind of like that. It's like It's like they know that it's probably too late to try to go get the key block that would save them, and it's just like I'm just gonna act like I'm doing my job and
Yeah.
not pay attention to what
And
comes
also,
on.
like, they probably didn't assume that Justin Fields would break out of 4 would-be sacks and stick around and be, running around for an extra 8 seconds in the backfield.
Right.
It's we're starting to get a reputation of the team that finds a way to lose. And I know we're not competing for anything right now, and we have one of the least expensive rosters in the NFL in terms of like what you pay your players. You know what I mean? So that means we don't have any playmakers in multiple positions, especially on defense. But it's still like it seems like we're becoming that team that finds a way to lose games instead of finds a way to win games. You know what I mean?
Yep. So two things with that. One, and it's kind of weird to say this because I know Fields is so young and still has a lot of progression. We've acknowledged that he's more of a rusher than a passer. What more can he do? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, this is the peak, this is peak Justin Fields. Like, no, he still has room that he can progress. He still has room that he can, advance. If he cannot advance in throwing the ball, how much better I mean, what do you guys need him to run 200 yards a game to get a win? I mean,
Yeah,
dude, this to me is like peak. Maybe subtract the pick six. This is like peak what you're going to get out of Fields, and you guys still lose to the Lions.
well, the thing is, and this is my next thing I was going to talk about. Chase Claypool only had 1 catch on 2 targets for 8 yards, and I think he only ran like six routes, I think, all game. I'm not sure if he's just not into, or he doesn't know the system yet. But I was hoping that he would get. He regressed from last week. Or 2 weeks ago, his first game, he had 2 catches for 13 yards or whatever, and he regressed to 1 catch to 8 yards after another week of learning the system. That was a little disappointing, to say the least.
One of the things that's interesting, you're mentioning how Claypool had one reception.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing that I was kind of going to get into. You guys, one of the cheapest rosters in the league, you have room to improve. If you're a wide receiver out there, and I know, when it comes to the NFL, the money will come calling. If you're getting the biggest bag, you'll go there. But if you're a free agent wide receiver and you're trying to make a name for yourself and you're thinking, I got to go to a team that I'm going to ball out, are you going to be looking at Justin Fields and the Bears thinking, oh yeah, that's a team where I'm going to be getting, 5 receptions a game and 100 yards receiving? I mean, with this offense, you'd be thinking, I'll be lucky to get 2 catches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's a good point, and it kind of makes me think of Lamar. Like, he doesn't have any good wide receivers, and he hasn't had any good wide receivers, and I think it's because of that same reason.
well, and
But
the only
I
one
would
that he
say
did have, Hollywood Brown, he wanted to get the hell out of there.
Hollywood Brown wasn't even that good.
No, but it was the only one that he had that was notable.
Yeah, Rashad Bateman hasn't really panned out. He loves the tight end, Mark Andrews. And Justin Fields loves Cole Kmet now. That's one of my breakout players, positive of the game. He had 4 catches for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he would have had probably a 3rd touchdown had he not been tripped up by Jeff Okudah on one play. It looked like he was going to be wide open.
That 2nd touchdown he caught, holy crap! Was there somebody within 20 yards of him? I mean, Oh my God! Like, you want to talk about wide open?
He has 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games, and I don't think he even had a touchdown last year. He maybe had 1 touchdown last year, and he's got 4 in 2 games.
He's getting wide open like that. Holy crap!
I think Luke Getsy took a page out of whoever the offensive coordinator is in Baltimore's playbook, because the tight ends are getting all the catches. Cole Kmet led the team in receptions and receiving yards and touchdowns. I wouldn't mind copying Baltimore.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of what you guys got to copy, because I mean, Lamar Jackson is probably the closest thing that you're going to get to Fields.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what do you think of Lamar Jackson as a thrower? I'm curious.
I think that his game has made improvements. I definitely think if you look at some of his early tape, I think that it was pretty clear that he was not. I mean, it's almost kind of similar to Fields. It's like whenever he was trying to stand in the pocket, it was not working. He had to scramble.
Mm-hmm.
I still think you fast forward, maybe you could have him as a top 15 passer in the league. I don't know. You probably have to make a case. Quarterback, Quarterback, oh God, he's clear top 10. You definitely want him on your team. But if you're
Mhm.
talking if you eliminate Lamar Jackson's ability to run the ball at all, and he's just a pocket passer, all he can do is pass. He has no ability to run. He's not a very good quarterback.
And that's why, like, I never like write down Justin Fields' passing stats. I always write down his like all-purpose stats. So combining his rushing and passing yards, he had 314 total yards with 4 total touchdowns, 2 in the air and 2 on the ground, including that one massive 67-yard run. That was fun to watch for sure. But
I mean, he's doing this like once a week. It feels like.
yeah, and I thought his play this week dipped a little bit as like because he was on a hot streak for sure these last 3-4 weeks. He fell down a little bit, but he's still that playmaker.
Yeah.
One of the as far as quarterbacks go, like the quarterback position, I think he's top 5, maybe top 3 in the last 5 weeks, just in terms of playmaking ability.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. One thing I'll compliment Fields on, his ability to not get sacked seems to be improving. I don't know if
Oh
maybe
yeah.
I'm not seeing that correctly, but it seems like his ability to kind of evade pressure in the pocket is getting a little bit better.
I don't know if it's like I didn't think that whenever I was watching him Sunday. I thought that he was always like really good at evading sacks. Maybe you just now notice him.
Those first 5 weeks of the season, it just felt like, I mean, yeah, your
Yeah.
guys' so line couldn't pass block for shit, but it just felt like every time somebody was giving him pressure, he would fall down. And I think part of that had to do with it seemed like Eberflus's game plan and even Getsy's game plan in the first couple of weeks of the season was, hey, we want a 4,000-yard passer in a single season, so we are going to make this kid throw the ball, and it was not working out. And now they're
Yeah.
saying, okay, screw that game plan. Let's just let the kid run, and
And they've
maybe it's
actually
helping him out.
yeah, they've dialed up more designed runs to and that's how he's getting, nearly 200 yards rushing every week because they're dialing up designed runs and they're using his legs. Uh like you said, I do want to see I think he's better passer than you're giving him credit for, but that just may be me being a biased Bears fan. I do want to
Well,
see him develop a little more in the pocket though, with his arm. I do want to see that a little more. And I'm hoping next week when we play Atlanta, they don't really have a good defense outside of, 2 or 3 guys. I'm hoping to see Chase Claypool kind of make some kind of impact on the game instead of just, a handful of plays.
well, do you think that's more on Claypool, or do you think that's more on Fields?
I want to say I don't want to blame either just yet because it goes back to Claypool only getting like 5 plays or 6 plays where he runs a route. So I'm kind of chalking that up to just like him not being comfortable in the system yet, or Getsy not having him up to speed on our system yet. Um, come next week, if he's still getting like 1 catch and 5 routes per game, I'm starting to worry then. But up until then, like you've had 2.5 weeks to learn the playbook. Just have him run a fly route and have Justin Fields throw it up to him. He's a 6'4" guy. Give him a chance to either catch the ball or draw a flag. I'll switch to the defense now, man. That's the one bright spot. Jack Sanborn, dude. This guy's not as good as Roquan, but he's 10 times cheaper, and he's doing just as much as Roquan Smith is. He led the league. He led the team in tackles with 12, led the team in sacks with 2, and he had that interception that was called back by a bullshit hands to the face call on Jalen Johnson. And that pretty much switched the momentum of the game. That added 7 points for the Lions. This guy is an undrafted rookie free agent making his second start in the league, and he's leading the team in tackles right now. That's definitely somebody to keep your eye on.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of funny to me, at least as a Packer fan, maybe not so much to you. But at the start of the season, when you guys were in rebuild mode, rebuild, retool on to next year, I think, at least from my perspective and a lot of fans' perspective, that rebuild was on the offense. Okay, you guys are going to retool some wide receivers. You guys are going to maybe retool your offensive line. It seems like you guys are pretty set at tight end and whatnot. But that was kind of the thought process going into the year. Now you guys finally have an offense that can basically kind of score, almost put up 30 points a game, and you guys don't have a defense now.
Yeah.
It's like holy crap, you guys finally have an offense that can score and you lose your defense. And not only that, but two of your top dogs, Quinn and Roquan, they're gone now. So it's like you guys, I mean, imagine maybe keeping them. And I don't know, maybe they're over the hill, maybe they're kind of on the downward spiral, who knows? But imagine you keep them. This rebuild isn't really looking all that big, and you keep them, and you have, and I get this is one of the reasons why you guys probably have the cheapest rosters because you got rid of them, but you keep them, and you're still probably one of the lower end spending rosters in the league. You guys legit could have retooled for next year. Whereas now, I think you're looking at a defense that is like, I mean, you completely have to gut and rebuild this defense.
And I think you asked the question last week, like now that the defense is playing so bad and the offense is playing so well, would we focus on like defensive line or edge or linebacker in the first round? And I said, I definitely think we do. Receivers you can find anywhere, not
Right.
just in the first round. Antonio Brown was a 6th round pick. Darnell Mooney was a 5th or 6th round pick. Receivers are, I don't want to say a dime a dozen, but you can definitely find receivers anywhere in the draft.
But the media has told me that you can only get first round wide receivers, and if you don't have any first round receivers, that's embarrassing. That's what I've always been told.
Uh,
But
maybe just in Green Bay.
but I mean, what are your thoughts though? Are you kind of upset that you guys got rid of them and now it's like, I mean, here we go, we got to rebuild the entire defense. I mean, do you think you guys would be better off had you kept them? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I don't think the defense would be much better because
Okay.
an off the ball middle linebacker, Roquan would have probably had a sack, maybe a pass breakup that would have affected the game. And in all honesty, Robert Quinn was not performing very well. So I'm surprised we got as much as we did for him. I don't know if Roquan would have turned the tide in that game against Detroit, but getting a 2nd and a 5th and another linebacker for him was a solid pickup in my opinion.
Yeah. Definitely interested to see what you guys do.
Mm-hmm. So we play Atlanta next week in Atlanta, noon game. They're coming off of a little mini bye. They played on Thursday last week. They lost to Carolina Panthers. Oh, Lord. I don't even know what to think about this game. They have potential on offense. They have Kyle Pitts, Drake London, but then you look at Mariota, and he played terrible on Thursday. So I have no idea what to think. Let's hear your opinion.
Well, it's one of those instances where I think, the fact that it's getting played in Atlanta, I think you can chalk that up to home field advantage. It doesn't ever seem like there's really much of like a roaring crowd in Atlanta though. So like I don't necessarily know if it's like the home field advantage you're going to get elsewhere. I think if you look at teams that are performing, in terms of who's going up, who's going down, I definitely think, and I know the Bears are technically on a losing streak, which is weird because it feels like they've been performing well lately. I definitely think the Bears are probably on the up and the Falcons are a little bit on the down. So if I had to put money on it, I think the Bears are going to win. Don't know how much. I think it's going to be close, probably like 3 to 7 points, something like that. But I think the Bears might be able to eke this one away.
I want to take Chicago, but I took Chicago last week by 7 is what I think I said. And we ended up losing by 1, by an extra point that we missed. I forgot to complain about that. Cairo Santos has been pretty solid all year, and then he kind of messes it up when we need him the most. I don't know. I guess I have to pick. I'll go with the Bears, just because, like you said, we're kind of, even though we're on a 3-4 game losing streak, we're still like on the up. 3 straight games with 29 plus points and 3 straight losses. How the hell? I think that's like
You guys are losing because of your defense. It's like,
Yeah.
when does this ever happen that you can sit here and say, "Oh, the Bears are losing because of their defense"? What?
I'll take Chicago, I guess, just because I have to. But I can definitely see this being just like this week, like a last second loss. I'm hoping if we win, can it be by 14 points or 20 points or something like that? Can we just have a commanding, easy win if we are gonna win?
Man, not this year.
Yeah.
No one can.